Hello, everybody. It's me, Jessica, again. It's week 2, and I'm here to give my memorable speech. The time I chose in my life to talk about was my first pregnancy. I hope you enjoy. I remember feeling sick with flu-like symptoms, and I went to the doctors in March of 1995, and I gave the doctor all my symptoms, and when the doctor left, the nurse said, "When was your last period?" I said, "It was in January." She's like, "I bet you're pregnant." I didn't think nothing of it. I wasn't pregnant. There's no way I was pregnant. Yeah, I'm 19. No way. Anyway, the doctor came back and said, "Well, Miss Jones, you're not sick. You're pregnant." I was really happy. I wasn't scared. I knew that I could do it, and I was ready for motherhood. I will never forget 4th of July, 1995. I was celebrating with friends and family, and I was huge. I was about 7 months, well, 6, maybe 7 months then. I was so huge. It looked like I was carrying twins. Derek Thomas was there, and for those of you who don't know who he was a Chiefs player for Kansas City Chiefs until he died in 2000 in a car wreck in Miami. I remember him coming up to me and saying, "Wow, how many babies are you having?" And I was like, "I'm only having one." And he was like, "Well, that's going to be one big boy." To me, that was funny because I didn't even know the sex of my baby at that time. My pregnancy was great. I didn't have that much sickness. I just had swollen ankles like the Flintstones, but I wouldn't have traded in for the world. What was crazy is that October 23rd, 1995 is when I found out the gender of my baby. Went in for an ultrasound, my first and only ultrasound, and the doctor said, "Would you like to know the sex of your baby?" And I said, "Sure." So there my son was, all his glory on the screen for us to see. It was crazy because October 23rd is when I found out when I was having what I was having, and then October 27th, I woke up. I didn't feel quite right. I wasn't due until November 2nd. I remember calling into my job and I said, "I don't think I'm going to make it today. I think I'm going to just go ahead and start my maternity leave now because I just don't feel right." October 27th was that day. That day, me and my best friend Susanna went to the movies to see Eddie Murphy in A Vampire in Brooklyn. I don't remember the movie. I just remember we basically played hooky for that. And then Saturday, October 28th, I woke up at 5 o'clock and my water had broke. I remember I had to stay at my mom's because I had gotten so large that I couldn't be by myself in my own house. I couldn't even get out the bed. I couldn't roll over or anything. So it was pretty sad. I had to stay at my mom's house so she can make sure I can get up and move around. We She had old ancient rugs in the house. They've been in the family for over 200 years. They came over with my grandparents from Hungary, Budapest, in Hungary. I remember I can't get these carpets wet. I can't mess them up. I didn't even get out the bed first. I grabbed the carpets and I threw them on the other side of the room just to make sure I didn't get them wet. I said, "Mom, my water broke. We need to go to the hospital. But first, we need to stop at the grocery store because I'm hungry and they are not going to feed me at the hospital." By then, it was 6 a.m. So I stopped at our local grocery store on the way to the hospital and I got chips and Jolly Ranchers. I had to sneak Jolly Ranchers into my hospital room. I know it wasn't healthy, but it's the only thing I could find that I can literally sneak in my room because all they were going to give me at the hospital was ice. Um, I remember being in labor. "Oh, this is nothing. I don't want any drugs. I'm Superwoman. This doesn't hurt." And it didn't hurt. For 7 hours, I was stuck at 4 centimeters. The doctor came in and ordered Pitocin and said, "Now let's let the games begin." I didn't understand that, but later I did find out that contractions and labor does hurt. I was telling the nurses jokes and everything else, and then next thing you know, boom, a real contraction. My laughter turned into moans and tears. And I asked the nurse, "What was that?" She said, "Honey, you just had a real contraction." So I went from 4 to 10 in a matter of 2 hours. And I remember the doctor saying, "Okay, it's time to push." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm pushing." And my mom was like, "No, Jesse, you have to imagine that you're using the restroom. Imagine you're going number two." So that worked. And I thank God that my mom was there for me at that time. I delivered my son head first. And I thought that was it. And the doctor said, "No, honey, I can't let you go home like this." I was so scared because the head hurt so much. I didn't want to push nothing else out. But the doctor insisted. So I pushed, and out came not my 9 pound, 2.5 ounce baby boy, Devin. It was so funny because he came out asleep. The nurses took them, wiped out his mouth, and then he began to scream. And the doctor had to stitch me back up, of course. And while I'm laying there, I'm just calling out random letters like R, S, N. And they was like, Miss Jones, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, the Wheel of Fortune is on." And everyone in the delivery room just laughed. They was like, "You're really watching the Wheel of Fortune?" That's how much I love the Wheel of Fortune. I'm watching the Wheel of Fortune while I just delivered my son. I remember coming home with my new baby. Thought he was the angel. He never woke up in the middle of the night, and come to find out, my mom was picking him up and taking care of him to let me sleep. So I really miss my mom, and I'm just glad that she was here for me to have my children and to help me go through that experience. It's just funny because you would think after going through that much pain and that much trouble that you would say, "I'll never do it again." But the funny thing is, I did it 2 more times after. All my children were born in October, and they were all named with a D. I have a Devin, Desiree, and a Danielle, and I tell them every day that they are my Valentine gifts. Now that they're older, they understand what I mean. I hope you enjoyed. Everyone have a good day. Bye-bye.